Hello, I'm Raquel. Welcome to my channel where I talk about all things health and homeopathy related. Today, I thought I would tell you guys about some non-homeopathic things that my family does to support our health when we know that we have been exposed to something while out and about, or when we feel like we might be coming down with an illness, but we don't have enough symptoms to match a remedy to yet. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you want to see more videos like this and about homeopathy and how you can use it in your everyday life, be sure and click the subscribe button followed by the alert button, that little bell icon that shows up after you click the subscribe button. And that way you'll get notifications every time I post, which is usually on Tuesdays. And if you like this video, be sure and give it a thumbs up below to let me know. And if you have any questions or comments or suggestions about future videos or suggestions for future videos, tell me down in the comments. Let me know. I'd be happy to talk with you about that. As always, the information given to you here is for educational purposes only. It's what my family does that we have really great success for, but it is not intended as medical advice. If there's ever any question about whether one of these things is right for you, be sure and talk about it with your proper health professional. All right, now I know we've all been there. We were out and about and one of our friends or a kid on a play date that we were with had a runny nose, seemed to be coming down with something, and then a day or two later you hear from them, oh yeah, they ended up coming down with the flu or a cold, a really bad cold that had them down for a week, whatever the case. And you notice that runny nose early enough that you thought, maybe I'll do a little something to boost my immune system and see if we can just kind of bypass that. Now, of course, the best support for a good immune system is your day in, day out, healthy eating support that you give your body. That day in and day out is the most important thing. Today, what I'm going to talk about are those extra little things that you could do on top of it whenever you need that extra little boost, or with homeopathy, because the symptoms are so important, sometimes we have to wait until the symptoms become very clear to match the remedy to. And it's nice to have something that you can start doing right away so that you feel like you can be a little bit more proactive. So, one of my favorite things, and the first thing that I reach for at the start of any cold, or just that first little, oh, I kind of might be feeling off, is garlic. And I have two different kinds of garlic that I love. There's, of course, raw garlic, but that tends to be really sharp and it is hard to get down. I will use it in a pinch if these other things aren't available. But this is honey fermented garlic. This has been going in here since October of 2018. Basically, you peel a whole bunch of cloves of garlic and you put in a whole bunch of honey on top of it, and then you shake it, you turn it upside down so the honey is always coating it a couple times a day. You have to burp the jar a few times because it will create some gases that need to escape so you don't burst your jar. And the honey preserves the garlic indefinitely at that point. And it only gets better as time goes on. I've heard that it's really the best after a year. The garlic becomes very sweet, almost like a candied garlic. It's really easy to get my kids to take this. But the honey, because it's fermenting the garlic, it is activating that allicin, which is the really good component in the garlic that we want to have active when we put it into our bodies, which is why it's important if you're using fresh raw garlic to chop it, let it sit for 10 minutes exposed to the air so that the allicin will develop. The honey does it for you. It makes a garlicky thin. You can see how thin this honey was, and it was not thin when I added it together. Those are the juices coming out of the garlic, kind of watering it down a little bit. So the honey becomes garlic flavored as well, and it makes a nice soothing throat syrup too that is just, it's really good for you. It really boosts your immunity. for your immune system. This is lacto-fermented garlic. So this, I reserve my garlic whenever I've made lacto-fermented veggies, which is basically veggies that are allowed to sit in a brine of salt and water, and they ferment, and the vegetables become really delicious, kind of like pickles. Original pickles were made with lacto-fermentation, but you can do it with carrots and salsa and all sorts of different things. And I reserve the garlic from those, and I save it in a little jar. Usually I would put a plastic lid on this jar because it is pretty acidic, and it could etch the lid of the jar. I'm not sure why this one doesn't have a plastic one right now, but this is also really good. The fermentation process, again, takes out a bit of the bite of the garlic, so it's easier to eat. Even my 4-year-old will eat this. She actually likes it quite a lot, and the brine itself is really good. So we always save that if we have leftovers after we've eaten the fermented vegetables. We save it for whenever we think something might be happening. Let's see. Oh, elderberry syrup. Now this I make ours. I've made ours for years, but this was the first time that I added rose hips, and I did not realize that rose hips were very high in pectin, but I ended up making elderberry jam rather than elderberry syrup, but it still works. This one has elderberry, rose hips, ginger, cinnamon, and clove, and we actually use it a lot on pancakes or waffles, just as a syrup. Oh, and it's honey, a local raw honey. Same with this one. You always want to use the highest quality, truly raw honey that you can. And this is also immune boosting. The Samucol, which is a component in the elderberry, was proven in, I think it was in vitro studies, to help keep the flu virus from being able to replicate. But all of these actually boost your own immune system and the working of your own body, rather than just focusing on killing or keeping a virus from replicating, which is important. That's something that my family really tries to do. We try to focus on things that boost our own bodies rather than focusing on killing whatever bacteria or virus is attacking us. We really want to focus on strengthening ourselves because we think it's more about the terrain. It's more about the body. A healthy body won't be affected by a bacteria, or a virus, the same as a less healthy or less strong body. And we think it's better not to make our bodies the battlegrounds, because often when you use something that is focused on killing something else, even the natural things, right? Even colloidal silver, even oregano oil, and some of those really strong essential oils, they don't just kill the bad bacteria or the virus. They do affect your own microbiome as well, and that can leave you weakened over time and is suppressive to your overall health. And when we use homeopathic methods, we really learn that we don't want to suppress our bodies or our body's responses to things. We want to do the best we can to strengthen and build them. Next is fire cider, which I must be honest, I don't reach for this one as much as I reach for my honey garlic over there, because this one is potent, but it's really good. My husband likes to have it on hand and dilutes it a little bit whenever he's been around some sick people. So this is apple cider vinegar, and I steeped onions, garlic, horseradish, cayenne pepper, whole cayenne peppers, or this one might have been jalapenos because I couldn't find the cayennes, and ginger and turmeric, and you chop those all. Oh, and onion. Did I say onion? Probably. You chop them all up, put them in the jar. This actually, when I chopped it up, I filled 2 jars about yay high with the vegetable matter, and then covered it with apple cider vinegar, let it sit for 3 weeks, strained it out. I was left with a little over a half a gallon of this, what is now fire cider, and it is potent, but it is good to have on hand, and is really, really boosting to your body. Next, ooh, what do I do next? Oh, vitamin C. I actually have 2 kinds of vitamin C. This is a plant-based, berry-based, I'll actually open this up to show you if you can see. I don't know if you can tell on here, but it's pink. And that's because all of the natural berries that were used to make it. But the thing is, it has a much lower level of vitamin C. A serving only has 120 milligrams of vitamin C, and there's only 180 servings in here. But 120 milligrams of vitamin C isn't a whole lot. But it does, because it's the whole berries, it contains all of the other cofactors that you would naturally find with vitamin C in nature. Vitamin C in nature is never by itself. There's all other sorts of bioflavonoids and different things going on that support the use of the vitamin C in your body. So I always like to have this. My kids, well, my daughter prefers to take this. My son hasn't gotten any yet. He's only 13 months. So, but she prefers the flavor of this because it does taste sweet and like berries. But I like to have this on hand. However, I do like to add in some sodium ascorbate. This is a non-GMO sodium ascorbate. You want to make sure that your vitamin C is non-GMO because most vitamin C is made from corn, which is genetically modified. And so it's just really important to get that non-GMO. And this is a sodium ascorbate, and 1 serving of this has 1,000 milligrams, so it's almost like 9 times or so. I'm not going to do the math right here in my head. Close to that, more of actual vitamin C in it than this one, and it's buffered with sodium so that it's gentler on your system and it's absorbed better. And so we also load up on this if we're coming down with something because it is very boosting. It's a great antioxidant. It really helps your immune system to work well. And often vitamin C is depleted very quickly when your immune system is under attack. And so giving it the vitamin C helps give it more strength as you are fighting against something. And it doesn't interfere with homeopathic treatment at all. The garlic, actually, if you are taking a homeopathic remedy, you want to try to space it out, just because garlic is so potent. You don't want to take them right next to each other because the fragrance in the garlic might cancel out the remedy if you took them like right away. I try to take my remedy first and then give it about 10 minutes or so to really get started in the body, and then I'll take my garlic. Let's see, what's next? Ooh, echinacea. This is another one. I don't use it so much anymore. Herb Farm is a great brand. I love Herb Farm, and you can find it in a lot of health food stores. But I don't tend to use echinacea so much anymore. I do give it to my husband. He's exposed to things a lot more than we are. So I do give it to him, like just dilute some in water, and he drinks it whenever he knows he's been kind of exposed to something. A lot of these, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but definitely the elderberry and echinacea, they're great to take if you know you've been exposed or you feel like you're just starting to come down with something, but it's not something that you want to take day in and day out. They work best because they do actually stimulate your immune system, and so you want to be able to ramp up your immune system when you know you've encountered something, but you don't want to constantly keep your immune system in a revved up state. So it's best not to take them for long periods of time. Like you don't want to take elderberry every single day over the winter, because then you're kind of going to wear out your immune system having it constantly revved rather than being able to give it a boost when it needs it. What else? The other thing that we'll do is a hot Epsom salt bath. That makes, I have my Epsom salts hidden over here in the corner. Not that pretty of a bag, but we go through Epsom salts all the time. We do an Epsom salt bath every week for the kids. I try to get one in every week too, but Mama doesn't always have time for a bath every week. Imagine that. But when I'm sick, or especially mastitis, anything like that, I feel like I'm coming down, Epsom salts are so helpful in getting things, toxins pulled out of the body. It makes such a huge difference and feels so refreshing afterwards. And then, just herbal teas. I like to have herbal teas, but not really strong ones. I don't like to use a peppermint tea because I'm very sensitive to peppermint when I'm breastfeeding, and it makes my supply disappear for a full 24 hours. So I avoid that because of breastfeeding, but also we probably wouldn't have it around because it has been known to antidote homeopathic remedies. But something that I do love is this turmeric chai golden latte from Numi, and the ingredients are, they're all organic: turmeric, cinnamon, ginger, cardamom, licorice root, and black pepper. And there's no sweetener in here at all, but it is delicious. So I kind of warm up some raw milk, just warm, not too hot, so that it's still raw, and add this to it, and it's just some great immune stimulating, inflammation reducing, relaxing, delicious herbs. And and this, when you have kids, this saline and the snot sucker, essential. Actually, it was really essential for my daughter, and I didn't know as much about homeopathy when in her first 2 years. But with my son, I haven't used it as much. I feel like we went through tons of this with her and none with him. We haven't even finished one bottle off with him. So I'm kind of thinking that homeopathy just helps cut stuff off fast enough that the direction of cure allows things to move out well enough that his nose isn't ever stuffy enough that I have to do this so he can nurse, which was usually why I did it with my daughter. But this is the only brand of saline that she would tolerate. Every other brand she screamed her head off at, but this one was good. I don't know why. This is the Little Remedies. It must be just the percentage of saline. I don't know why. This was the one she likes, so this is the one we buy all the time, or we buy from now on. We don't get bother with any other ones. And and homemade bone broth, or chicken stock, or whatever meat stock that you have. This one's frozen because I just pulled it out of my freezer for this video. But it is fabulous. There is really something to the old wives' tale about chicken soup when you're sick, but it's the old-fashioned chicken soup that you make yourself from the bones and meat that is just so nourishing when you can't keep anything down, or when you're feeling run down. Oh, it's good stuff to have on hand, and load it up with some good high quality salt so you get those electrolytes and that salt in your body. Good stuff. And then a couple first aid things too that were non-homeopathic. This one is a calendula tincture that I actually made a long time ago. Don't go through it very fast because you dilute it pretty well. I use this to help wash out wounds. My daughter had a pretty good cut on her toe, so we made a little bowl of water, warm water, and add a little bit of this in there to clean it out. And I add a tiny bit to my son's wipes solution if he's had a little bit of a diaper rash. I had some issues with our washing machine here. It's a new one, and it's energy efficient and not efficient at cleaning diapers, and I was having trouble. So I added that to that, and that's so helpful and soothing and helps the skin heal. There is homeopathic calendula that is fabulous for wounds as well. So when there is an abrasion or a wound of some sort, I always put in homeopathic calendula, but this can be used to help clean out the wound as well. And then these are my Helios creams, and some of them are potentized like to a 1x, I think. So I guess technically it would be homeopathic, but really they're more herbal. 1x is like a 10% solution, and I think a couple of them aren't even potentized at all. They just use the mother tincture, and that is calendula cream. Again, cuts and abrasions, burns, rhus tox ruta. So good for sprains or strains or sore muscles. I use this on my back when I was pregnant. My low back was just achy and sore, and I would mix arnica and the rhus tox ruta for those achy, sore ligaments, and it helped a lot with that. And I think that's everything here. I actually have an urticawl, which is urtica and calendula cream, that I had for the burn video, but I don't know where I put it, so it's not here. But that's great for burns, and would be good for like stinging insect bites or things like that as well. But I don't know where I went. Oh, and I almost forgot one last thing. Right here is cod liver oil. This is the fermented cod liver oil by Green Pastures. We also use a brand called Droppy or Rositas, but the flavor on those ones aren't as good. This one is a cinnamon one, and my kids love the cod liver oil. My son he gets unflavored. He still loves it. My daughter likes the cinnamon one now that she's allowed to have it. There was a huge controversy over the fermented versus the non-fermented and whether or not that was actually better for you. We decided that that the fermented did actually have some benefits that we wanted to keep with us. This also has a butter oil concentrate, so it adds the extra vitamin K2 factor that is kind of like a coefficient that boosts the other things in the cod liver oil for you. We take this on a fairly regular basis. I'm not as consistent with it as I should be, but if we have a fever or an illness, but especially a fever, I try to make sure that they get in their cod liver oil, because vitamin A is often depleted in fevers, and cod liver oil is nice and high in vitamin A, and it's good to boost that back up to help with recovery. So that's our cod liver oil. Anyway, that's about what we have. Everything is focused on boosting yourself, and some of them do have some components that work against the invading species as well, but the focus is the boosting. So we do, like I said before, we avoid colloidal silver, we avoid oregano oil, we avoid oil of oregano or oregano oil. One's an essential oil, one is not. There is a difference. We avoid them both. And the stronger essential oils or the essential oil blends, like a germ destroyer or thieves type blend. Alright, I hope this was interesting to you guys. I hope that there might be something here that you might pick up for yourself. If you use any of these things, or if you have something else in your medicine cabinet that you think I should know about, tell me all about it in the comments. Let's chat. I hope you all enjoyed this video and have a wonderful day. I'll see you again soon.